Good afternoon, guys. My name is Brandon, and welcome to episode 1 of the KTM 250 two-stroke rebuild series. For my regular viewers, you'll know that every winter we do a rebuild series. Last winter was the 86 TRX rebuild series. It was a 33-year-old Honda quad. Now, for you guys that haven't seen that rebuild series, here's a quick clip showing the entire series in less than 4 minutes. Now, this KTM build is going to be very similar along the lines of what this was. This was a budget-minded build that we did on this Honda quad. A little bit of the backstory is this used to be my kid's. I've had it for a bunch of years. It's sat not running in the corner of my garage for about 12 years. Just because my kids have grown up and they didn't use it anymore. So I decided that I wanted to give this to my grandson, so I completely went through this Honda quad with, a budget theme in mind. Something that, any of us could go out and do. Find something like this on, Marketplace or Craigslist, and then go out and restore it to make it look and function like new. And that's what we did. If you look at this four-wheeler, besides the plastics were super expensive, but other than that, most of all that you see me doing here is it's all labor. It's all just putting your hands on each part, cleaning it up, and making it look like new. But this was a real enjoyable build because we ended up with something that looks pretty much like brand new for a fraction of the cost. So that prompted me to go out and look for a dirt bike. I've had dirt bikes all my life and motorcycles, so it was just a natural progression for me to try to find one. So I found this on Facebook. It's a great candidate, and I just immediately knew that I was going to restore it, but now I've kind of got a couple options that I want to do. Now, the restore will be very similar to this Honda quad rebuild and restore. And if you want to see this entire series, there's just a lot of details on, restoring plastic and just making a lot of things look new. So it doesn't have to be specific to a Honda quad. If you're looking to restore stuff, it's probably a pretty good video to check out, and I'll put a link up above. Now, this build that we're going to be doing on the dirt bike is very similar to this. I want to kind of keep it budget-minded, but I have no intentions of getting rid of this KTM dirt bike, so I'm not trying to fix it up to flip it to resell it. I'm trying to fix it up to keep it so that it's reliable, because it's something I'm going to keep. So here's my dilemma, guys. I got a couple things I can do. Completely restore this, new plastics, new graphics. Plastics and graphics is going to be about a couple $100 for this bike. Or I could heavily modify this bike and convert it to like a 2019 model. It would be super expensive, but we could easily do it just because we have a metal fabrication and welding channel. That would involve putting on a new rear swing arm. It would involve putting on a new gas tank mount. I'd have to put on or modify a new rear subframe. And other than that, it's just all parts. I'd have to buy a gas tank, a seat, a rear subframe, an airbox, all new plastic, all new graphics. Yeah, it would be pretty expensive. It would probably be around the range of $1,500 to convert the looks of this 2001 bike to a 2019 or 18 bike. So let me know what you think. I paid $2,500 for this bike, and you'll see here there's some clips. It starts first kick. It's in wicked good shape. But if I put another $1,500 in it, now we're up to $4,000, and now it's not that great of a deal because probably for a little bit more I could actually buy an 18 or 19 bike. So let me know what you think. But here is the finished Honda quad, and I'll tell you what, guys, I am so happy with how this thing came out. So I'll let you look for the last few clips. Now I need something to ride with him, so that's what prompted me to pick up this project. Let me bring you in and show it to you. It's a 2001 KTM 250 two-stroke. It's a EXC model, and it has a lot of tricked out parts on it. I'll bring you in and I'll show you some of the stuff that it's got. So it's a real good base for us to work with, and I will insert a clip right now. This bike starts first kick every time. I'll start it for you guys. This thing is a blast on the street. careful, you get in trouble with it. So I know it's healthy, but I think it's probably got a lot of time on it. The person I bought it from had it for about 10 years. So let me go through. It's got a full FMF exhaust system on it. It's got an FMF fatty pipe. And I've already started taking the pipe off. That's the only thing I did. And then I realized, well, I probably want to document it. It's got an E-line carbon fiber cover on it. But let's talk about the graphics. How crazy is that? KTM with blue graphics. It almost looks like a YZ, doesn't it, guys? So the graphics come from a company called CE Moto, and they're out of Italy. You can get the plastics, but you can't get the graphics kit, and I really love the graphics on this bike. So hopefully I can find a graphics kit, because I'd really like to keep it the way it is. I love the looks of it, but I want to freshen up the plastics. So let's see. It's got from the factory. It comes with DID wheels. It's got Maxxis tires on it right now, which those need to be redone. The suspension was just done prior to me getting it for a 200-pound rider. A lot of the things that I would want to do to this bike have already been done, which is great. So ultimately it's going to save me a pile of money. It's got fastway pegs. It's got Sunline bars with a GPR steering stabilizer. It's got the automatic valves already built into the top of the fork legs. It's got a Trailtech Vapor computer, oversized Clark gas tank, CE Moto bark busters with built-in blinkers. Came factory with a Magura hydraulic clutch, and it comes factory with Brembo brakes. It also has TM Design Works chain guides and skid plate, as well as bulletproof radiator guards, and a Guts factory grip seat. So as you can see, guys, I've got a really good base to start with, and the guy that I bought this from obviously cared about this bike because he put a lot of money in top quality mods. He didn't skimp when he bought stuff. So let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to put all brand new tires on it, and although it starts first kick, just from sitting, the carburetor's dripping, leaking fluid out the bottom of it. So probably the floats are stuck. So that's going to need to be rebuilt. This bike was in storage for a bunch of years and not ridden. The front sprocket looks a little worn. So if that's worn, I'm going to replace the front sprocket, I'm going to replace the chain, and I'm going to replace the rear sprocket. Just like that Renthal. That's a dual ring sprocket. That's not a cheap item. I'm hoping to maybe replace the wheels or maybe get these powder coated. I'm not quite sure yet. We're going to pull the motor out, and I'm going to have the motor gone through and rebuilt. And the reason I want to have the motor rebuilt is that, like I said, it starts first kick every time. It's just that there's a lot of spooge that's coming out of the pipe, and I think it might have a crankcase seal on the right-hand side that's leaking, because that's kind of a symptom to that. I don't know a lot about these bikes, but I do know that if the right side leaks, it's sucking up oil. If the left side leaks, it can suck in air, and that can melt your motor down. So I don't want to take a chance, so I'm going to take the motor out. I'm going to bring it to Prescott Racing, and I'm going to have them redo the entire motor. The one thing I'm not looking forward to is that they've got the motor attached to the suspension. So in order for me to get the motor out of the bike, I got to take the rear suspension off. Now, some of you that are much more familiar than myself with rebuilding dirt bike motors probably think it's a waste of money for me to bring it to someone to do, but and maybe so, but for me it's peace of mind, because honestly I don't have the skill set to know, is something worn to the point where it should be replaced soon, and I really want this bike reliable. And I soon realized after owning the bike, because it's an 01, that a lot of these parts are no longer made for this bike, like the crankshaft and stuff like that. You can get them, but they're super, super expensive. So I figured it was best, at least for me, to take it to someone that I can trust, that's reputable, and if it needs to be replaced, let them do it. There we are. Got that out. One of my biggest fears when I was doing this was that I would, do the motor work and then put it all back together, and then something wouldn't be quite right, and then I'd have to take it all apart again, and it's just going to cost me that much more in the end. So I just decided to take it to a professional, let them do it, and I think I'm going to get a better job overall. Alright, now we're going to take off the radiators. So I've got a little small bolt here, and a longer one at the bottom. And then what? Looks like another one here I gotta take out. And maybe another one here. So So I made my trip to Harbor Freight and I ended up getting a swivel extension kit. So that kind of allows that to do that on the very end. And that'll allow me to get down to these bolts that aren't directly in line with this little hole on the side of these brackets. I'll be honest, guys, over the many things I've ever taken apart over the years, it always gets me nervous and scared when I take something apart to this level, just wondering if I can get it all back together. And I just take off a couple hose clamps, and it will be free. I can get these radiators right out of the way to get this motor out. In my younger years, I'd tear something like this apart without a care in the world, and then months would go by and I'd forget how it went back together, and then I'd end up losing interest in it, and then I'd end up selling it for next to nothing. I literally cannot count the number of projects that I started with good intentions in mind, like I have here, and I just either one, ran out of money, or just ran out of a desire to do it because it was so in-depth. I got so in over my head. But you know, even at my age now, I still try to rein myself in because, you know, now I want to use it. I don't want to end up selling it cheap. You know what I mean? I'm going to put new hoses on it and everything, guys. I don't want to take any chances of this bike breaking down. So all that stuff I took apart on the other radiator, it wasn't necessary. All I had to do was come in here and find that bolt. There's only 2 bolts, and then the radiator comes right out, right through that hole. It's kind of at an upwards angle. The bolt's like here, and once you back it out, the bolt and everything just drops out. I bet that's a real treat getting that up in there, though. And now this one goes downhill. So this Trail Tech computer also has a temperature sensor. And the way it works is, you can see how there's like an inline sensor right here, and then it's got a wire coming up, and that wire's got all kinds of tape around it. And oh yeah, look at that. That's no good. See, this is why it's good to do your own stuff, to see what's going on, and take your own stuff apart, because this isn't good. They just spun the wires together, twisted them together. Well, that's no good. Just bare wires twisted together. So we'll cut that and we'll redo it. Probably put a connector on it and do a nice job so it plugs in. Alright, so there's that. We should be able to get our radiator out of here now. That. Let's see. Yeah. Just like that. Like I say, we'll put all new hoses on this, just so that get a better job, you know. We've pretty much, I think, got everything ready to go. And what do we got left? All we got left is to pull the back of the motor out. And it's kind of a weird, kind of crappy design how the back of the motor goes through the suspension. So we're going to have to pull the suspension off, the lower, you know, the swing arm, to get the motor out. So I'll have to put a plate up under the frame and jack it up. One of the ways that I found that works for me to help relieve some of the stress of taking something apart this far is, one, documenting it really well using video and pictures, taking little notes if you need to, take all your parts and put them in bags that you label. That makes it really easy. And rather than write on the bag, I like to take a little piece of paper and actually write on the piece of paper what the bolts go to, and then tuck it in the Ziploc baggie, because then you can use it again. So those are just some tips that I use to help alleviate the stress. I'm going to get that swing arm right out of the way, and to do that, all I got to do is just take off the rear brake line. That's all that holds it in. So we've already got the shock already undone. So all we got to do is remove this one brake line on the rear, and we will be good to go. We can just get it right out of the way. There. If we did it right, be able to wheel this swing arm right out of there. Yep, there we go. Alright, here we go. I think she should come right out. Wishful thinking. Let's get this Jewel over to EJP Racing, and they can get started on the motor while we do all the other stuff to what we got here. So that was a quick introduction to this upcoming rebuild series that we're going to be doing. I know a lot of you guys don't come here for that type of content, but rest assured, in between all that, we're still going to be doing welding and fabrication content, and we may end up doing welding and fabrication content on this bike, depending on where you guys think it should go. Personally, I'm like on the fence. I don't really know. I mean, it's hard to justify spending $1,500, but then again, this is something that I don't plan on getting rid of. So it's never been done, not that I'm aware of. I don't know anyone on the internet that has converted a 2001 bike to a late model 2019 bike. You know, it's going to involve cutting up the rear subframe and grafting that into the frame, probably welding tabs onto the frame, changing around a bunch of stuff. The tank mounts are going to have to be re-welded onto the frame. I mean, this is all stuff that we can do. I have no doubts about that. But is it biting off more than we can chew? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. Should I just restore it as it is, send the frame out and get it powder coated, or should we go ahead and try to update this to a 2019 model? I think it would get a lot of attention on the internet if we did that, because I don't know anyone that has done it. I think it would be pretty cool and it would look pretty good. But whatever I do, I've got to do it before I send the frame off to powder coating. So let me know what you think in the comment section. There'll be new videos every Friday, guys. We'll still be doing the welding and fabrication content, so don't worry about that. But we're also going to be doing this. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're wondering what I'm working on before it makes it up to YouTube, you guys can catch me on Facebook and on Instagram. I'll have links down below. I'm also always uploading to YouTube stories, so you can check me out there as well. If you're wondering about any of the tools or anything that you see me using, I'll have links down below for that. Until next week, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, see ya. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.